to our program, and I want to be mindful of everyone's time, especially one of our guests, one of our panelists, Marina Ote, who just got married today. And she is spending her reception time with us, which is just amazing. And also she looks stunning. So thank you so much for being here today. We also, tonight, again, we are talking about popping up in 2021, how to do it safely, mastering the art of the pivot. And so we are going to be led and moderated by our co-founder, Christina Weaver. We're right on the heels of 314 Day. And that was a masterful pop-up that happened with, I think, 2 weeks notice from STL Made. And it was a really great way to get our creative women out and get the community shopping. We also have Jordan Blackhurst from Dharma and Dwell. And not only did she start as a pop-up in May's Place, she also continues to pop up and have events happen in her store now. So as I mentioned, Marina was married today, and not only is that her big accomplishment, that's amazing for 2021, you just got married, but you also launched a amazing photography campaign called Her Eminent Reign, and it's really highlighting Black women in history who their stories sometimes went untold, and really elevating those stories. So I'm super excited. I'm so honored you're all here, and I'm gonna pass it over to Christina.
Okay, I am really, really excited to be doing this. It's such an honor to get to just give the stage to some incredible women. And I think one thing that stuck out to me about the way that Lindsay curated tonight is that a lot of times in our world, we think of pop-ups in terms of vendor markets and like setting up a table for an afternoon. But these ladies have really done pop-ups in several different ways. And so I'm really excited to be creative with how you can get your product, your service, your business out in front of people that might be by shared space, shared time, collaborative experiences. So really thinking of pop-ups in that way. So Marina, I am gonna kind of let you kind of take the stage here. We would love to hear more about what Her is, how it was born, your kind of passion for it, and a little bit about how it's going.
For sure, I'll be happy, and I got some new updates too, so I'm excited to share about it. So Her Eminent Reign is the acronym for Her, Forgotten, Recreated, and Reimagined. And so basically the project literally was, I'm really, into learning more about history, especially my history with women that came before me. And I keep hearing the same story. So I wanted to figure out who else was out there, who else paved the way, who else, did things that were innovative and allowed people like myself and the women that were a part of this project to be able to create the way that we know how to do best. And so I literally just said, okay, you know what? I'm going to choose 3 women from 3 different eras. And I love the Harlem Renaissance era. I didn't know much about the Golden Age era until I found Leontine Price. And in the me decade, I learned about that too when I found Erica Huggins. But I just typed in those time frames. So I said the 20s, the 60s, and the 70s. The 50s and the 70s. I was really interested in those time periods. And so in my research, I found those 3 ladies. And I was like, okay, I'm going to recreate images about them, and I want to put them out, and I want to talk about them. I want to talk about their accolades. I want to talk about who they were, and why we don't talk more about them. And so the 3 women I chose was Florence Mills. She's from the Harlem Renaissance era. She's a cabaret dancer, a singer, a comedian, one of the first female comedians, the first African-American female who played on Broadway. And then I found Leontine Price from the Golden Age era, opera singer. Her accolades go on and on. Presidential Medal of Freedom, over 20 Grammys, and we just got Beyonce at 28, right, setting records. So it's like, but who paved the way for her, right? It had to be somebody like Leontine. And then Miss Erica Huggins, she's from the me decade. She was a leader, one of the longest tenured women and leaders of the Black Panther Party, and also a teacher of the Oakland Community School for the Black Panther Party. And she partnered with people like Rosa Parks and Maya Angelou and pivoted a lot of education during those time periods. And so when I chose those 3 women, I looked at the other women. I was looking for women that looked like them. I kind of knew some people already, but I hardly knew anybody. I think I knew 3 women out of the 9 that were there. And so everybody else in the room was strangers. Everybody. Nobody knew who each other was. The first time we met was on a Zoom, and then we met in person. And so for me, what I think the project really meant was, how do we get more collaborative efforts between women to happen? How do we work more collectively to, be able to tell our stories and, just blaze up new paths for people and recreate history? And so I feel like I did that. There's 2 parts to this story. The first part is talking about people that we don't regularly talk about. And then the other part is the behind the scenes collaboration of 9 women who are all artists and founders of some type of business, some type of something, and in their own right. Book authors, jewelry maker, word up, open mic, these different women who all came together to put this on. So I think for me, it was a healing experience. It was the combination of bringing together brilliant minds. You just had to be in the room to feel the love. We even started our session off with love, meditation, prayer, fellowshipping with each other as sisters before we even got into the day. And that really set the tone. So furthermore, her is now going on to a few cool projects. So of course I was featuring STL Made. Rung has gotten behind as a sponsor. I love you too. I'm sorry, guys. Bye. Thank you for coming, Blaine. Thank you. Okay. Run for Women has gotten behind the project. Faith for Justice has also gotten behind the project, and we will be featured as some clips and stuff with them for their Women's History Month recap. And then I just got word from Kransberg Art District, who wants to sponsor this on an annual basis to continue to build the catalog of these women that we don't know about, to put it in the dark room as a collection every year during Women's History Month. That is major. I was like, what? And I just got this email the other day while I'm over. I'm like, hey, y'all, so yeah, I feel great. I feel great.
That's amazing. So you really, I mean, how was this? I understand like kind of how the idea was born and you came together, but that first Zoom call, those first connections when you didn't really know the women, you let it out in meditation and prayer, but then what was that leadership kind of like on your part? Like, how did you direct the women? How did women choose
oh my God.
to dress up as? I mean, how did you assign characters to models, all of that?
So I literally called these women, I called these women and I said, hey, I'm doing this project. Are you interested? And they were like, yeah, I'm interested. And for most of us, we've been cooped up during 2020. Haven't really had an opportunity to just create. For most of us, we do create for monetary purposes. And so it's very rare that we get to create just because we want to, and it has the meaning behind it. So it was really easy for people to just get on board, get behind it. I found people on Instagram and I literally just sent the message and I was like, hey, what's your number? And they gave it to me and I called. I was like, hey, I'm such and such. I love what you do. I'm interested. Can you help me? I found one girl that played Leontine Price. I found her in the open mic on the job. I found her. I walked up to her when she finished and I was like, you are who I need. And she was like, can you send me more details? I was like, yep. So, it was easy. That was the easy part. I didn't think it would be so easy. I thought people would be like, no, but
yeah.
When you got a good purpose and a good cause, people do come behind you. They do follow up, they do want to be a part. They do want to support.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think when you're right, like when passion is behind it and a really good purpose and a clear focus, when your project or your brand has like very clear direction and definition, people get excited. They understand and they hear it. So
they do.
amazing things next for her. This is really exciting. I kind of am wondering, like, tell us a little bit about your kind of work in general. So this was a photography project. Are you like
Yeah.
regularly a photographer? Like, is this kind of how you
Yes.
work? Is this your job? Tell us a little more about you.
Girl, yes, that is my number one thing that I do on a regular basis. And even though I've been on vacation and I'm supposed to be not working, I'm still working.
Yeah.
So this is because I love what I do. I just opened up a studio in 2020 during the pandemic. Like, quarantine wasn't even over, and I was like, I'm doing this. People need content. Let me just try it. I had already been doing photography freelance for 5 years or 4 years before this. So when I decided to open up the studio, I've been really focusing on making it an all-inclusive experience. And most of my customers are women between the ages of 19 and 45, And so a lot of them are first-time people who have never had photo shoots. The first thing I get from my women are, I'm not photogenic. Yes, you are. And I'm here to show you that you are. So my team consists of a makeup artist, a wardrobe stylist, a creative director, a hairstylist. And we literally pamper these women when they come in from start to finish, build up their self-esteem, get their confidence on 10. It's like a therapy session for them. And so when they come through, oh my God, they serve, honey. And they never knew that they could serve so well. And then when I finish the pictures, they all on Facebook and I'm blown up. So it's like, I tell everybody, my job is like I'm riding a roller coaster ride, right? I get all the way up to the top. I'm super excited because I'm at the theme park and I'm running around and I'm going on adrenaline. But then by the end of the shoot, I'll be like, whew, all right, time for the next one. So yes, this is my everyday. I feel like my work and my passion is being more structured, more defined, the more I work in the studio for how I want to serve people, and just really provide something that is different than just point and shoot. Like, anybody can point and shoot a camera, but it takes a lot to be able to give people what it is that they never knew that they even had. So my camera is a reflection of who they are. It is the mirror that they, never choose to look through until they met me. So that's what I do.
I love that. And so Her really was a project that was born out of your regular work, this idea of like kind of popping up kind of separately from, and this creative project that's related to what she did, but kind of separate. So I don't know. Oh, we might have just lost her. Is she still there?
We may have lost her.
That's okay.
We'll let her back in when she gets.
Yeah. She gets back. Oh, good.
For those that missed it, today is actually her wedding day, and so she got married this morning at 6 a.m. and is celebrating now. She was celebrating with her family and friends. Took a break to present with us because she believes in empowering other women and couldn't not join us tonight. So I'm just truly honored she took the time out to be with us tonight. Absolutely.
We'll take anything, any couple of minutes she'll give us, but we were just shocked that she was willing to do it. So, which is really awesome. So I'm excited. Well, if she pops back in, at the very least, I'd love for her to share where her studio is, how you guys can follow her and get to know her a little bit more. So that was really great. Do we, let's see. Well, I was going to actually stop my conversation with her a couple minutes early to see if we couldn't let you guys ask a couple questions, but we can always bug her if she hops back in or another time. So cool. So I will just, I want to kind of pause real quick. And for those of you who have not met me or who I have not gotten to meet, I'm Christina. I am one of the kind of co-creators of the Women's Creative, and I work, our team is now made up of Megan Rohall and I, and Jessica Connick, who is here, and Lindsay, who is now kind of leading up the collective and has been doing an awesome job just getting everybody, like communicating to everyone and really helping us to put out great content and bring women together. So we are really honored that you're here and so incredibly grateful that you're part of the collective. So that you know who I am as a resource, and I'm just always available to you. I am the marketing director now at City Foundry and at On God Arts Hotel, so I work on bigger, kind of more public brands, and I get to support, obviously, kind of support the Women's creative too. So as you are building your brands, as you're looking at popping up, at collaborating, at doing kind of creative ideas to grow your business, don't ever, I mean, Lindsay is available to you, and just know that Megan and I are too. And if we for some reason don't respond to an email or a text or a message or whatever, keep bugging us. We are available. We never mean to miss anything, and definitely want to make sure that we're there for you. So excited for you to be here. Well, Jordan, I think it's you and I.
Hello.
So Jordan started a brand called Dharma and Dwell, which we've actually had you at several procures and gotten to know you now for the last couple of years, I guess, or maybe not that long. How long is it?
I started in January of 2020. Yeah, so just a little over a year.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I remember a year ago, like Valentine's Day, we did a little pop-up.
That was the last, it was the first week of March.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was that was the last, the second to last pop-up that I had prior to the pandemic. Yeah.
It was like a minute before the pandemic, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, great. Well, tell us a little bit about Dharma and Dwell.
Sure, yeah. So as I had just shared, I started as a pop-up, or Dharma and Dwell started as a pop-up in January of 2020. I had maybe done 4 pop-ups, and by pop-ups, I mean, I started at May's Place, as Lindsay had described earlier. So I had my first initial pop-up there. And at that point in time, we had discussed doing a more ongoing situation. So we thought, maybe I would pop up there quarterly or tied to specific events. So let's say, for example, Earth Day or Plastic Free July. So strategically tied to some key events related to Dharma and Dwell. I guess I should back up for those of you that maybe aren't as familiar with Dharma and Dwell. It is a sustainable lifestyle and refill shop or brand. So the items that I offer are package free, or they are refillable in the sense that you can bring in your own container, or you can purchase one from us, and then you continuously use that same container over and over again to prevent that item from going to a landfill. So you'll find a range of products from personal care to cleaning products to even just a few other fun items, like right now we have compostable pellet cases, so cell phone cases or iPad cases, as well as sunglasses that can break down in a landfill. So anything that really is, good to our planet or good to people, you can find in the shop. So with that, I started in January of 2021, and then I had initially reached out to, and this kind of gets to what you were talking about earlier, Christina, in terms of different structures with pop-ups. I had initially reached out to, I think it was maybe only 4 businesses, and each of them I strategically chose based on my values and what I thought might be good alignment in terms of brand and the things that I stood for. So I had reached out to May's Place, which was one of those, and Katie had agreed and then welcomed me, and so that's where I started. And then soon after the pandemic started, or the pandemic began, and so I obviously was not popping up in person anymore, so I transitioned to e-commerce. And very quickly I realized that my house was not made to be a small retail shop. We were tripping over boxes, and if I'm honest, we still are. There's still a ton of stuff in our house. And so I thought, okay, I really need to get out of the house. Maybe I will explore having, a small space somewhere. And at that point in time, Novel Neighbor had reached out and said, hey, there are some things that we've been wanting to get into more that are aligned with what you do. We carry usable bags, or we really want to incorporate other things in our practices. And we think that you might be able to help us with that. And could we collaborate? And so we then collaborated, and I had a space. So again, different structures, pop up at events, pop up quarterly at someone's space, or have, a more long-term everyday space within a particular retail space, coffee shop, you name it. And so I had worked with Novel Neighbor on setting up a space that was curated specifically to items that they would carry, and we tailored it to their kitchen area because they had some cocktail books and things of the sort. So we worked together on that. And then around that same time frame, I had just passed a space in Webster Groves, and I had just thought, well, I'm just going to call and see what it would, what this would cost and get a little bit more information. And then long story short, that worked out. And I made the decision then to move into a brick and mortar space. And now I'm in Webster Groves.
All right. And so I hate to jump around a little bit, but Marina is back, and I don't want to keep you for too much longer. But I did just want to ask you, all of these exciting new things have happened for you this year. And incredibly impressed with everything that's happening, excited to support you. Tell us a little bit about, like, what are some of the struggles? Like, what are some of the things that have been particularly difficult about putting her together, building that, putting together a new photography studio, kind of building your business over the last year? Oh, Marina, can you hear us? Oh, we can't hear you. Oh no, we can't hear you. All right. I think you're muted.
I'm going to try unmuting her.
See. Can you hear us? No.
Now.
We may have to catch you when you get back.
You said that the service is fairly bad, so let's stick with Jordan for a little bit and then bring back to Marina.
Sounds great. Awesome. Well, Jordan, that's really cool. Like, I love the fact that you've kind of done it all when it comes to pop-ups. And, certainly done, like the vendor market kind of thing, and then been in other people's spaces, and then now have your own. And so tell us just a little bit about the kind of experience. First off, like, just each of those three different experiences. Like, what do you feel like was really good and beneficial for your brand in each of those places? And what are some things that are hard or maybe didn't go as well as you had hoped?
Sure. So I would say some of the things that I think work really well, or that I would just encourage people to consider, and it kind of goes off some of the things that we've already shared around, being a purpose-driven brand or being driven by your passion. So being really thoughtful about, popping up or collaborating with others that align to that vision and your values, because then again, you're just creating a stronger brand in the space that you really want to be in. And as what I have found in doing that is that I also then connect and meet other individuals, and that circle just starts to expand and grow. So in thinking about that, I have found that I feel like the experience or the pop-up is more successful, or it is better when I am just really intentional about where and when and who I partner with. In some cases, if you're going to like a vendor market, for example, it's a great opportunity to meet a lot of other women, but for my case in particular, I have a very targeted audience in terms of what I'm doing, and part of what I believe in is around consumption and not wanting to overconsume. And so for me, attending a market, I sometimes have a little bit of a cognitive dissonance, I guess you could say, in terms of you get a really good, rush of people that are wanting to shop, and that's great. But then I'm thinking, okay, did they grasp the message behind what I was trying to encourage? Well, after they bought, that compostable toothbrush, will they actually know how to compost it, or will they do that? And so those are some of the things that I struggle with in terms of being a retail shop, but a retail shop that has values and a mission tied to reducing consumption. So for me, that's part of the struggle that I experience. And then the other part of your question, you said, what has been really successful? And I think that there's probably many of you on the phone too that have purpose-driven brands and educational components to what it is that you do. And so I have found that I've gotten the most enjoyment out of partnerships or pop-ups where I have been able to, you know, provide the product to somebody, but also have been able to help shape how they view sustainability, or encourage them to even incorporate different practices into their own brand, or the things that they're doing, you know, in their own space. And so for me, that's really rewarding, the educational piece behind what I do.
Okay, so a couple questions. And so from what you're saying, I am guessing that there are situations, maybe pop-up opportunities, that you have either thought of or have been offered that you've said no to. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, I would say yes. Or I shouldn't say that I directly say no. There have been opportunities where people have approached me, and I, you know, kindly find a way to say when I think the timing is right, or when I can find greater alignment between what it is that you're doing and what I'm doing, then 100% I want to support you. And I'm ready to do that. It's just at this point in time, I need to keep my focus on what I'm doing currently, or, you know, whatever's particularly in front of me. That has happened.
yeah, no, I think sometimes because we have a limited amount of time, right? And especially Jordan, I mean, you haven't shared this yet, but yes, Jordan works full time for Ameren, and then she does this on the side. So she actually has like a retail store that she runs on top of working full time. Unbelievable. We are all, like many of us, either our business involves like a team of people that we're directing all the time, and we've got stuff at home, and, you know, we're volunteering over here. I mean, as women, we just are always divided in so many ways. We have a limited amount of time. And it's important that what we do with our brands really hits home, really nails it, and really actually grows the brand. And so to do that, you have to be strategic about what you say yes to, and the same thing about what you say no to.
Yes.
And I think that sometimes as women, that's the hardest thing. I mean, it's so hard. Are you going to have a similar opportunity? Is something equivalent going to come up? Or am I going to make the money that I need to make this month to cover what I have to buy, or my time? And that can be really difficult. So it takes a lot of courage to kind of do what you've done. And with pop-ups in general, it can take a lot of courage. I think I've done like the scattershot method, where like I'm just saying yes to everything. I'm going to do everything that comes my way. This is my, like, I had someone a few years ago tell me, oh, this is my year of yes. I'm never saying no. Just this year, I'm saying yes to everything. And that was like probably the worst idea that anyone has ever like dropped my way, because it was a terrible excuse to be like, my conscience is clear, I can say yes to everything. It was a terrible idea. And
you might have heard of the saying, Christina, say no so that you can say yes.
I have wisened up since 2019, when I went a little insane. But either way, I think that that's really significant and something that's important to think about as we're thinking about pop-ups. So my next question, I have actually never done a pop-up where I stuck my brand or like my service or whatever I was doing, a kind of advertising basically inside of another brand. But this is something now you've done a couple times. So can you tell us a little bit about, like, so this was not a wholesale relationship where you were just wholesaling your products?
Are you thinking of Novel Neighbor?
Novel Neighbor, or I guess at May's Place.
Oh yeah, so May's Place, yeah, that was a pop-up where I would go, I set up. It was not a wholesale. She did that for me at no cost, because I was starting up. And then I've had that structure, and then I've had with Counterculture, Kitchen Culture. They have also hosted my products on their website before. And in that case, it was, again, kind of getting back to just relationships and shared values. Chris, the owner, Her and I had got to know each other at the farmers market. She values sustainable agriculture and, in the food industry. And so that was just, a relationship I built, reached out and said, hey, I think it makes sense to advertise your products here. And if you want to do that, I'm happy to do that. So
my mind is blown. An online pop-up on someone else's website? I don't think I've ever even heard of this.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Wait, the ideas are really popping now.
Yeah, and I've done that with Descendant too,
Okay.
where it was a virtual pop-up, online. And again, just different structures, price, cost structures with different people. I've done where it was more wholesale or where it was 15% or no cost. Really, that's just a conversation that I have at that point in time with the individual. And normally, both parties are pretty flexible. And again, what I've shared before is, you shared I work at Ameren, so I also have, I feel like, a little bit more flexibility in terms of what I do and not being as tied to the financials, and because I do have stability through another avenue at this point in time. So I'm really lucky in that way that I can have that flexibility to then make decisions that might be a little bit more risky.
I understand that. Okay, cool. Wow. So my next question, I guess, is when you were popping up in these places, so when you were at May's Place or like at Novel Neighbor, you talked about like being in that space, but like, it sounds like with Novel Neighbor, you really worked with them on that collab to where your product physically was.
Yep. Yeah, and I've done that. I'm doing something similar with another organization now. And so I really do try to look at their brand. What are some of the messaging and things that they're either doing currently or that they want to do? Pretty much find the gap, I guess, in their model or their service, and then fill it with something that is, within my line of services that might also help them, even in terms of their brand when it comes to things like sustainability.
Sure.
So there were things with Novel Neighbor, and COVID kind of threw these things off, but we had even explored having, a sustainable speaker series, doing something that had to do, with giving back and trees because of Paper with Books. And so, really, I guess kind of serving, I had a friend that described me as this recently, like an eco consultant.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that I take that same approach with the people that I partner with when they're willing anyways and want that additional advice or support.
Yeah. Well, I think each of us, as we get into our product lines, become experts. You have to, and your service and whatever you are providing your customer, you're an expert on that thing. And I think we forget sometimes we get so busy selling what we're doing and our process and the actual product that we forget, like it to an extent, like we have a tremendous amount of knowledge that can be valuable and support other people and other brands. And so, I mean, that's really significant. And also something that I think is, it's like creativity in kind of a different like way, like how am I kind of creatively applying my ability to create business.
Yeah.
So that's great. That's great. That's so exciting. So, talk us through a little bit, like your process. I'm going to kind of just ask one more question and I might open it up, Lindsay, if you're okay for like a little bit longer Q&A, because we've got like Marina's back and we can kind of open this up for the floor. Cause so
can I just ask, Marina, how long do we have you for really quick?
I'm chilling.
You're good? You're good for a little while? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Mm-hmm. Thank you. All
right. And we'll keep it a hard stop at 8, so we should still be okay. So Jordan, obviously all of these types of pop-ups that you have done have required relationships and collaboration. So can you just dig in a little bit more to that process? Like, obviously these are people who you've had some shared interest with initially, but then how did you carry those relationships through collaboration into an actual pop-up experience where you're creating business out of the relationship?
Yeah. It's pretty, I don't know that I have this really hidden secret, other than, like I said, I spend a lot of time let's say it's novel neighbor, or let's say it's, counterculture, and it's understanding really the space that they're in. And so, I've done research, like with Novel Neighbor, for example. I did a lot of research first just to understand the independent bookstore industry and what are other people doing in the space. Bringing that knowledge in with the relationship, I think, helps, because it shows invested interest too in what they're doing. And it doesn't become about me anymore and Dharma and Dwell. It's more of how can I support you? And I think that that's kind of the question that I go into most relationships with is, how can I support you? What can I do for you? And again, just it's back to being purpose, driven. And normally people respond to that really well too, because they see, oh, that this person cares about what I'm doing and they want to help me. And they're generally more responsive than if I were to go to, another organization or another company and say, hey, do you want to sell this bamboo toothbrush? Versus, hey, I see that you really care about X, Y, and Z, and so do I, and here are the things that I think that I can help you with. And if you're open to doing that and you're open to exploring this with me, let's try it.
Yeah.
Would you be open to that?
Isn't that funny? It's just like it's just like a different way to sell what you're doing in a way. And like, it's authentic and pure, and like that purity of heart and like desire to actually help people and like extend yourself in service. We all, we have that and want that. But then also it's kind of a brilliant sales tactic when you think about it too, because it's a little bit like, how do you say no? How does somebody say no when they're like, oh yeah, I want all those things, and this is what you're gifting with. That reminds me of, Marina, when you kind of identified, women sometimes struggle with self-esteem. We go about our day, we throw on our little layer of makeup, we feel frumpy, especially in the winter. And like, here you are, like identifying that need in women and filling it with like a whole cloud of other women who are surrounding them and making them look and feel beautiful. And so I think that you're right, like good sales, and certainly when we get creative about how we're selling, popping up in different ways and kind of applying creativity to parts of our business like that. When we really think about what are our core, what are the needs that we're meeting for our audience, who really is our audience, what really is our passion, and how does our brand fill a void for individuals or our community, it tends to, you find where you just really like, it's like the fire kind of gets started from there and grows quickly, and that's when it gets really exciting. So it's so fun. Thank you so much for sharing, Jordan. I mean, we're all so impressed with how Dharma and Dwell has grown and established itself, and it just feels, your authenticity and passion for like what you're doing in service, both like to the environment and to our community, are just like really felt all the way through your brand. And so it's really special. Thank you. Excuse me. And it's been special for us to get to watch it grow over the last year. So that's been great. Cool. Well, I would love to open the floor up a little bit. For those of you who, we've gotten to talk about all kinds of different pop-ups in the context of being creative with how we're growing our brands. If you have specific questions about vendor markets, I'm your girl. Feel free to ask them. We haven't like really talked about that directly, but I have, thrown about 100, and I've popped out at probably 100 more myself as a retailer. So I'm happy to answer questions, and many of us have been in that boat too. So feel free to ask those as well. So yeah, let's open the floor. And I think Marina's here to answer some questions too, if you want to ask about her and her process. Excited about that.
Okay, I have a question for both of you or either of you. So, like, I think a lot of us here have probably done a couple pop-ups, and like Christina said, like been involved in pop-ups in different ways. But, every time you go into one, you're always like, okay, how am I going to approach this one? Either like marketing wise, or even like physically what the display is going to look like, or even how you approach each customer as they walk by you. So like, what are some maybe just kind of like tips and tricks that you guys would have for people that have like been there, done that, but know that like there's so many so many more avenues that we could reach into, or ways that we could like approach a pop-up, or just kind of like things that you realize. Like for me, I would say like an amazing tip is like bring a clipboard and have like an email sign-up sheet so that you can gather info. So just like random things like that that are maybe just kind of like things that you've learned along the way.
I mean, you nailed it with the email sign up. It's all like, I think any way that you can capture and grow your audience. Because for some of us who have e-commerce brands or are service professionals who get kind of like that one-off experience with people, just where they come to you and you, oh kitty, and you get to know kind of one person at a time, and it's very deep with that individual. That's wonderful. And you can always, you want those repeat customers, and you want them, to continue coming back. But these vendor markets, where whether you're just, even if, you're a service business, you're just like coming for the day to pass your card out and network, or if you're popped up as like a product-based business that's vending, it's just a good way to get your brand exposed across a normally think that there is face contact with your customers, and that ability to like look in someone's eyes and smile, and have them relate to you and meet you and be like, that's Christina, like I know her, or like Jessica, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you again. You see them again. And even like for me, sometimes I'm terrible with names, but I will remember your 3 children and their friends' names, and like how they did in math class last week. Like whatever you told me, I'll remember everything except for your name. And so often I will just be like, oh, that's so-and-so's mom, or like, this is so-and-so's cousin. But even when you see that person again, whether it's at the park or another pop-up, and you're able to make those connections and build that relationship and remember what they bought or maybe didn't buy from you, that creates this like those longer term relationships in a much deeper way sometimes than like getting somebody on your email list and emailing them 20 times. And so those are the kinds of things like I really, really appreciate about any type of pop-up experience, whether that's something long-term where your product's in someone's store and you're just going by and able to be in there, or if it's just like an afternoon vendor market. I don't think there's just really like, I mean, COVID be damned, there's just like really nothing else, nothing better than physically being with your customers face to face, getting to build those relationships. And so that's what I try to take advantage of there. And it's also an amazing way to test the market for your products. Mm-hmm. I really think like a vendor market gives you like a large swath of people across like the whole community, and you're able to like get to know, like, are people buying my stuff? And if not, like, do I need to adjust the pricing? Do I need to adjust like the product offering? Do I need to whatever, make changes in that way? So I think about that too. And I arrange like my booth or the shopping experience accordingly to kind of test product and see what people think. So, but I'll let Jordan and other people answer too.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of head nodding when you were talking about the building relationships with one-on-one people and just being, authentic in that space. I always say I'm not a good retail person, because I love when the shop is slow, because I like that when there's one person, I can focus on them and give them the dedicated time and understand their needs and what products they might be interested in. And just as you were saying, learn their story. So the more that you can find ways to connect with the people that do stop by, I think the better you will be too, than just collecting all of the emails and interacting that way.
Definitely do that too.
Yeah.
And to that note, one thing that I think is really cool about the way that we're doing Procure pop-ups this year with the Women's Creative is that you guys probably saw we're spreading people out through with Eventbrite. People are signing up for different time slots. So as a vendor, what I think is amazing is like, it does suck when you're at a market and there's like too many people to help, like in the beginning. And then at the end, you're just like twiddling your thumbs or whatever. So I think what's really cool is that the way that we're spreading people out, the vendors have constant, flows of people coming, but it's not so crazy, hopefully at one point, that you can't stop and like chat with someone. So that's kind of like at least one silver lining of COVID is, we're kind of like finding this new method to the markets to give you that time to be able to chat and not be like in a panic because you're trying to check someone out and your Square Reader's not working, and it'll like spread people out.
I agree, Jessica. I've done that at several pop-ups that I've hosted at Dharma and Dwell, and I feel like it makes such a difference in terms of just feeling stressed and just spreading out the customer base throughout the entire event.
Less pop-up panic.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to kind of piggyback off that question a little bit about relationships, and because that keeps coming up for pop-ups. But Marina, whenever you had this idea and you were able to pop up this campaign during COVID, which is amazing, but you got amazing partners and fantastic press. How did you approach that, or how did you find those partners, big and small? And I know you mentioned
honestly, that was really organic. So the creative project, of course, I'm working on that. I was working on that simultaneously with my business. So in me wanting to branch out more with my business and spread the word, get a little bit more marketing out, I was reaching out to different magazines to talk about their advertising packages. And through conversation, Kim Moore, who works at St. Louis Mag, I told her about the project, and she was like, let me connect you to some people at SEO Maine. I think they would be interested. That was an organic connection. Just saying something, it was organic. Faith for Justice, I went to eat around the corner from Run for Women after my tour with them. And I ran into the lady that hired me several times to do their events, to capture their events. And I told her about the project, and she was like, we want to sponsor you. And I was like, what? Like, I literally did it just, like I said, to create, but just telling people about the project, it was organic. So in regards to like my relationships, I told you guys, I met most of these people on Instagram, some of the people I already knew. And so one thing about me is I'm not afraid to talk to people, whoever it is. I'm not afraid to talk. I'm going to reach out via email. I'm going to reach out via Instagram. I'm in your DMs. So you can count on that. I think that it was, it became advantageous just because I had confidence. I loved what I did. People knew that the passion was there. And to the point about pop-ups, I don't typically do pop-ups. I have done some in the past. But I will tell you, from the ones that I've done in the past, because I am a service-based business, it's literally been about, to piggyback off Jordan, trying to figure out those connections that I have with people. What is it that you have coming, whatever that may be, and then using that to sell. And it doesn't feel like selling. The customer or the potential client doesn't even look at it as if I'm selling. They're looking at it like, I just connected with her. She's dope. And I want more from her. And so in order to get more from me, they book a service to experience something else with me. So I think that the most, imperative thing you got to bring, aside from all of your admin stuff, right? All that stuff that break down, you got to go back to the basics. And the basics for me has always been guerrilla marketing, word of mouth, talking to people, getting on the ground, networking, and just being genuine in who I am. That's always worked for me. I'm terrible at email marketing and social media. I'm not consistent enough. So.
Thank you.
I would add, it's amazing what happens when you start to share with people what you're interested in or what you're trying to achieve. And then those moments just continue to happen, or at least I feel like I've had the same experience as you, in terms of once I started telling people, then they would tell someone, or they would say, oh, I have this connection, and things just sort of fell in line.
Absolutely. Every time. I think one of the things after being in business for 5 years is going from not really knowing like my structure to now knowing who I am in my business and what my business is here to provide for people.
Yeah.
Like being confident in that is what makes people say, you know what? She knows exactly what she's doing. Even though I'm just an expert. I tell people this all the time. I am no expert. I just know what I know up until now.
Yeah.
That's it. Because that's just been the journey. I don't know any more than what I've learned through up until today. So I can tell you, give you what I have up until now, but up until now is when, I've been able to craft exactly where it is that I want to go, what my goal is. I know that this year, 2020 and this year has been pivoting for me to really understand that, but it took me 4 years to figure it out. I'm not just a freelance photographer. I do create. I can collaborate. I am not an expert in all fields. I do not know how to do makeup. I'm not a makeup artist. I mean, a hairstylist. I'm not. It's a whole bunch of stuff. I'm just not. And so I'm like, how do I bridge some of those gaps and hire the experts in those fields and say, you know what, you, come here, come over here. I know you're great at what you do. Why don't we team up and really make something great? I definitely pay people for their services that I don't know how to do. I'm not interested in trying to learn a whole bunch of things. I know what I'm good at, and that's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's significant and hard sometimes to be like, this is my lane and I'm going to stay in it because I can be really good here. And sometimes you have to, like, it's those places where you can find your creativity, where you know your craft and you have that comfort and experience with it. So you can get creative with it. And that's where you can kind of, there's room for collaboration and there's room for, relationship building and all of that. Because you're not constantly trying to learn something new or balance like multiple things kind of in the same area. So yeah, Jordan and I were kind of talking about
Miss Weaver. Talk about it, Miss Weaver. Oh my goodness. As the entrepreneur, you wear many hats. You already got to wear 1,001 hats as an entrepreneur, right? On the back office stuff and the stuff you do, client facing, all those things, social media marketing, whatever. You already wear those hats, right? But then you need other people to just do other things, so that you can focus on the real hat, the main hat that you want to put on every day. And I think in me being able to fine tune those relationships has really allowed me to focus on my photography more, to get better at my craft, to explore my craft and go deeper into it, a little bit more on a soulful journey and from a soulful point of view. And not only that, YouTube University is my best friend. I am a YouTube University student. I feel like they should give me a certificate and a certification. I should have a degree from YouTube.
Yeah. We just talked last month about business development, and that's actually something I said. I was like, I can't even tell you how much I have learned from like software help sections. Like, this is embarrassing, but it's amazing what you can Google.
Exactly. Where was this when I was growing up?
I know. Well, Jordan and I were just even talking about the fact that a lot of us started with e-commerce businesses, or when you start with an e-commerce business, you really are focused on that marketing, that digital marketing push. And then when you move to in-person, like in-person sales, whether that's pop-ups or a retail store, it's almost a completely different hat. And so it's just really like managing that and understanding what you can do and how you do it and how you sell. And it's good. So I think we have time for maybe one more question if anybody has one.
I had one, I guess, for everyone. What are what's like the thing that's getting you the most excited right now, or what are your goals for the next like short term?
I can, if you don't mind, I can answer that. Oh my goodness. The thing that's got me most excited right now is knowing my long-term goal and having a very clear vision about it. For a while, when I first opened the studio, I knew what I wanted to do, but it wasn't as clear. There were certain things that were still like out of place, and having a brick and mortar, like that is all new. You really enter into a whole different space when you do that. But the thing that I'm most excited about is becoming a leading brand in what it is that I do and providing self-therapy sessions, self-esteem boosters, confidence boosters for women. Period. Like the women come in, like I said, all they have to do is show up, and they are pampered. And every time they leave, they're either crying or like they're really excited, or they're going out on dates that they probably wasn't gonna do before because they look good, they feel good, So it's one of those things.
I'm ready.
Girl, come on through.
I'm coming.
Take care of you.
It's done. Yeah, I need it.
I take care of you. That for me is the most exciting thing. Just recognizing more and more, like the impact that I'm making is really huge. Sometimes I have the moments when I'm talking to the women, and they resonate with me and so I take the time to practice getting in front of one just so that I cater and guide my women through their process with me. Like I have to put myself in their shoes sometimes. So I think for me that is one of the most exciting things, just having a very clear vision on where I'm going and what I want to do.
Jordan, what are you thinking?
I was thinking, I don't know, this is probably really bad business advice. I had a friend that asked me like several months ago, what are your goals with Dharma and Dwell? And I shared with them, this was probably the first thing that I've ever stepped into and didn't have clear goals, milestones. I really stepped into it thinking like, why not just try it and see what happens? And so I'm totally just going with the flow. And as things develop, I get excited. Most recently I've hired some assistants to support the shop on Fridays, and that was a big milestone for me. So I'm looking forward to regaining a little bit of balance maybe in my life currently between both jobs.
Jordan, you duplicated yourself. Teach me.
Right? I know, she's amazing.
I'm literally going on maternity leave in 2 months, and I'm like, who is going to continue to run this and make this money come through the doors, or am I just gonna have to like temporarily, close because I am the only person that does what it is that I'm doing. So
okay, I think if you're coming Sunday, we need it. Jennifer Williams is here, but her video's not on. But we need to connect the two of you because she's like the queen of. She has 5 children. She works multiple jobs. She's just like amazing like that. So at some point in time, we've
got 5 kids. Me too. We definitely need to connect.
Okay, well, you and Jennifer.
Me and her got 10 together.
We'll get you connected. It'll be great. So we, for us, so I think for me, honestly, like what is energizing me right now is all of you. I can't even begin to tell you the team that like has come together around the Women's Creative. I think sometimes like Megan and I just really weren't sure what was going to happen. Like in November, December, we were like, do we close the collective? Do we stop doing vendor markets? Do we just go on our way? Like, what do we do? And it was stressful and hard to push through. And I think being patient and building relationships and really thinking through, like, honestly, not even that much thinking, just like trying to live life and survive. Like we have, the brand itself just kind of, it has its own legs because this incredible community is around it, and we've really been able to develop this amazing team. And so it's the people around me in the community right now that I think are really energizing me. And I think it's so that's come up so many times tonight. I feel so inspired by everything that people have shared, this idea of like leading with your passion and just really putting yourself out there and connecting. And I think that's what ends up happening in the end is like it's relationships that bring the energy, and popping up and putting yourself out there is really just getting out of your own head, getting out of the digital experience and getting yourself in with people and in with other brands. Even if that's a digital collaboration and a digital pop-up, whatever, you still have to communicate with people to make it happen. And it's that in that relationship that I think magic sometimes really happens. So
Okay, we are. I don't want to jump in, but I do want to jump in because we are just at about time. But I would be remiss if I didn't ask everyone that's here to introduce yourselves, because what I'm most excited about with the collective right now is getting to know all of you amazing women and hearing your stories. So we did this in the collaboration event. Can we just rapid fire? Everybody give like their 30-second, who are you? And if you want, drop your Instagram handle in the chat. We did that too, and everybody got to kind of keep connecting. I would just really love to hear from you really quick. And if you want to start, Allison, I see you, or Jessica, I don't think you introduced yourself much earlier, and you're the first one after Jordan.
Hi, you guys. So you've probably seen me at some Procure pop-ups, and I've popped up there with Mount Indigo, which is kind of like a little passion project that I started when I had a full-time day job also. And I upcycle denim jackets and try to put like fun, sassy, sustainable statements on the back and do different artwork and things like that to help promote sustainable fashion. I abandoned my booth a lot so I can go shop at like Dharma and Dwell and other places like that. I just used your reusable Swiffers the other day and thought of you. I did buy one of those, like, this is probably TMI, but I bought one of those like period cups from you, and I've been too scared to use it. So I'm gonna have to like ask you for advice.
I was just typing in the chat. I said the dot cup. I remember.
I need to bust that out and be brave. So, but yeah, so I just also love like joining in community, kind of like what Christina and Lindsay have been talking about, with other local women-owned brands. I was on the board of Fashion Group International for a while here in St. Louis, and like really loving to connect with local brands and help them with their missions. And like she said, it's like we just energize each other. And I think sometimes we all need that, especially when you're juggling so many things like with kids and your jobs. And sometimes you're just like, oh my gosh, like, why am I still doing this? And then the second that you get energized and you're around each other and like helping to collaborate, you're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so in this. And so that's just one reason why I keep coming back to amazing communities like this. And I'm so excited to be more involved with the Women's Creative this year and helping out on the team. So you'll see me in different facets, but I'm always like, okay, what hat am I wearing today? If I'm not indigo, am I this, am I that? And so I'm excited to have an additional Women's Creative hat this year. So to be working more closely with this team and with all of you guys and have more time to be a part of the collective community, because I've been a part of it for a little bit, but haven't been able to tap in as much as I'm going to be able to this year.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. Okay, Allison is next in my screen. Allison is actually one of our brand new members, and we got to Zoom for a little while, and she earlier this week, and you have some really exciting things going on.
Yes, so brand new to the group, brand new to the creative community. I'm so humbled to be part of this group of women, and I'm so excited and thanks in advance for all the times I'll probably be bugging you for advice, because I'm just about to start my own business. I was in marketing for the past 6 years on the corporate side and just decided to take the leap of faith to do my own marketing consulting and then also photography. So I will be launching that sometime in the next few months. So I'm really excited about that.
Awesome. Thank you. Tiffany, you are next in my screen.
Hello, everyone. Hope everybody's having a good evening. My name is Tiffany, and I'm the owner of Cheryl's Herbs, and we're just passionate about helping people and helping them to have a resource that is besides pharmaceutical medicines. So we're happy to be part of the community. We're located in Maplewood, and I love being part of the Women's Creative because I think that we're starting to see it more and more. That's what excites me. But for you all that are in business, we're seeing more and more people who are willing to help women businesses, whether it's with grants, whether it's with education, and I am here for that. So I love getting to know more local people since I'm not a native of St. Louis. And sometimes those connections I didn't have growing up here, but I love being part of this group. So it was nice to meet you all this evening.
Thank you.
Tiffany, you're the owner of Cheryl's Herbs over on, is that in Maplewood somewhere, like close to Maplewood, Manchester
Yes.
area?
Yes.
Oh my God, I went to see you. Oh my gosh,
Oh.
it's so cool. You were my go-to when I was pregnant with my 4th child. I love that place.
Nice.
True referred me over there. She's my midwife.
Yeah.
In my birth village.
True was part of Cheryl's Herbs when it first began. So yeah, I love hearing stories like that. So
good to meet
nice
you.
to meet you. Yeah.
You're so here for this. I love this. Kathleen, can you share? You're next to my screen.
Sorry, I was unmuting. Hi, my name is Kathleen Whittick. I own Garden District STL in the South Grand Business District. We're a retail store. We sell garden-themed home decor, so plants, tea, kid stuff, candles, jewelry, a little bit of everything, really. And I'm from Memphis, so I can appreciate, Tiffany, your perspective, because I too don't have that, built-in connection. And the connections I do have, I lean on pretty heavily. So I've joined the collective this January just to try to expand and push my boundaries a little bit. I can be a little not much of a joiner when I don't want to be. So this has been my commitment to 2021 is to put myself out there a little bit more. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining.
Oh, thanks.
Rebecca, you are next in my screen.
We'll have to see if you hear any like Marvel blasting, movie in the background from the spring break and traveling and everything. So I'm Rebecca Goebel, and I have just recently opened up Freya's Haven. I started it in December. It's online right now, and my dream is to have a retail shop though, in like either Maplewood or Ladue or like the Webster Groves area. So really wanting to like dial into the local St. Louis market. So, but my thing is teaching meditation to the busy and the fidgety. I can teach anybody how to meditate in 30 seconds or less. We can fit meditation into your life, not make your life have to fit around meditation. And also helping women who have set an intention for their life find something that physically will remind you of that intention throughout your day. And specifically, I focus on like crystals, crystal jewelry. I've got a bunch of, pretty sparkly things on, but then like big, beautiful art, pieces of art that Mother Nature creates, right? In these big crystals and geodes and things that do have a specific meaning and then can remind you of that specific intention that you're setting for your home, your person, your life, and your environment. So those are kind of my two focus areas, and I'm super interested in being a pop-up shop, being a new startup, and wanting to get into the local area. But my goal is to make like something that's a little weird, like crystals, appeal to the mainstream, right? Like you don't have to believe anything, and it fits in with Catholicism, or like there's not necessarily a religion around it, and it can still be useful to somebody. So it's like I want to find that Venn diagram piece of normalcy, you know, so you don't walk into a store and be like, oh, this is where the weird people shop. you know, like we've, anybody who's looked for a crystal has walked into one of those stores and went, what am I going to find in here? And so I just want it to be like really light and bright and airy and approachable. Not be like, oh, am I weird for getting into this? Like it has a use, and everybody can reap the benefits of both meditation and using crystals to support their intentions. So
awesome. Thank you. I'm going to be calling you. I need some meditation in my life.
And right now, because like I'm kind of in like my third round of the meditation class, the meditation course that I'm offering is free. And so it's a 10-day, like just email course over 2 weeks. So if anybody's interested, the link is in my bio of my Instagram page. So, but yeah, meditation has saved my bacon more times than I can say. I've got 2 special needs kids, and it's been a lifesaver for me to know that in 30 seconds I can drop in and find that piece of peace within me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I love that.
Yeah,
all right,
thanks.
Kayla, you are next in my screen. Okay, I will come back to Kayla. April?
Hi, everyone. My name's April. I have my video off because it has been a day. Literally in my pajamas with no makeup on. So. But yes, hi. I've been a part of the collective since last May. So I joined during the pandemic. And so I haven't, really gotten to do too much in person or anything in person. But I do look forward to these nights and now like the virtual happy hour. I'm glad we're doing that stuff now too. So you can see my face then. But I started my business last May. It's called Peachy Keen Culinary Consulting. And basically I came from Caldi's Coffee. I was their culinary director there. And I loved what I did there. I just wanted to do it on my own and for other restaurants and bakeries in St. Louis and maybe someday anywhere. I've had to adapt with COVID myself, doing a lot from my house. So, but I specialize in recipe development and innovation, food cost analysis. I can put together documentation and training manuals and host classes or do training sessions. I can help places grow, restaurants grow if they're opening a new location or expanding. I opened 10 locations with Caldi's. So it's something I'm pretty comfortable with. And I also offer food photography. That's just a passion of mine, is photography. I grew up with a mother that was a photographer. So I grew up in a dark room. I've always loved photography. So I have that in there as well. And then, I'm just really loving being a part of this group. I'm looking forward to going to some of these Procure events and getting to meet everyone in person eventually.
Thank you. It's so nice to have you here.
Thanks.
And I think we can all agree we love Caldi's. Okay, Kayla and Squad.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, it's crazy over here. It's bedtime. Hi, I'm Kayla with Little Lemon Candles. I make and the dog is barking. I make sorry. I make soy wax candles. My mission was to start when I was pregnant with this one. I started having like really bad reaction to like not to call it names, but Bath and Body candles and a lot of like other store-bought candles. So I did a little research and found out like the icky chemicals in them. So I started crafting my own, and February last year with you guys. That was my first Procure event, and then that's where I actually met Jordan, and I do a lot of that's really it. I have fun labels makes and
you're breaking up a little.
Yeah.
Well, I love Little Lemon Candles. So thank you, Kayla, for bringing Little Lemon Candles into all of our universes. So, okay, now the last one, and last but not least, Jennifer. Hi.
Hi guys. Hi, I found a corner, so
Good.
I think a child has joined me, but hopefully no more than that. My name is Jennifer Williams. I own JW Photography. I am a portrait photographer, so I do most of my work with families, newborns, graduates, a lot of family portraits. And my side gig that I have going, and Kathleen, we need to chat, is I have a botanical macro photography business. So I sell prints. That's what I'll be doing at Procure on Sunday. I sell shots of plants that I've just taken from all over, really the country at this point. That's kind of like my Zen moment, how I have a little time to myself. And I've been a part of the Women's Creative since the beginning, and I do not remember when that is. So you guys will have to forgive me. But Christina is one of my dearest friends. Well, she's one of my dearest friends. And so I have spent a lot of time picking her brain about all the things with retail marketing, just because as a portrait photographer, obviously that's a service, and selling prints is retail. And I am not so well versed in the retail side of things, but I do love doing portraits and capturing people. That's kind of my thing. So that's me in a nutshell. And I've been listening the whole time, even though children were crying. And, you know, I feel every mother's pain I have right now.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing and being here, all of you. You are why the collective exists. So thank you.
Absolutely. And thanks so much for your time, you guys. It's such a precious gift to us. We really appreciate it. And we've kept you over time, but it's good to get to know everybody and hear from you. If you are available to come on Sunday, whether you're popping up or just have some time to come walk around, bring kids, bring friends, come and see each other, bring lots of business cards, pass them around. We will be, the nice thing about this type of work here, we're going to be at the front desk. And so just as you stop by, come and introduce yourselves in person, and we will introduce you around and get to know each other. Excited to see you.
All right. Thank you all so much. This was so fun. We will see you on Sunday, and stay tuned to the website because we're going to be releasing the schedule of all of our upcoming events on Monday.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.